Welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of the BBL Show, the place for all British Basketball League related news. You know by now, I am Jay Marriott. He is Drew Lasker. How has your Sky Sports duties been this weekend, my man?
Busy as usual. It's just a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the fact that I get an opportunity to try to build chemistry with Ant Rowe, Danny Routledge, and also Nat and Kieran. That's something that I wasn't able to do last year because I was just in and out. Incredibly difficult, but at the same time, like it's a lot of fun. It's a perfect transition. Obviously, not playing anymore, but being part of the game, getting an opportunity to cover it, and walking away on Friday nights, sleeping great no matter what happens. It's the dream, man. All to the good. What about you? I know you've had a little time off from your coaching duties. So how have you replaced that time?
CEO duties. So that's the reality of it. We're still training pretty hard. And yeah, just giving me a little bit more focus on the structure. And one of the beautiful things this sort of 3-4 week break is I can get home for longer weekends, so that's always great on the family time. So listen, something I've been meaning to ask you for a while, and also the season's full effect now. We've gone through the cup, we're into the league now. How is retired life treating you? Like you just said, like kind of sleeping a little bit better, but is there any other side to the coin or just pure happiness?
Pure happiness, content, whatever word you want to use. I haven't missed it, not one iota. And I just love the fact that every weekend I get an opportunity to spend time with the family. I get to pick my kids up from school every single day. And, you know, I've been able to replace that time with coaching, so I'm able to get that competitiveness out of me. But, yeah, I'm good, like totally removed mentally. It was funny because I was talking to Ben Mockford before the game because obviously, you know, he had technically retired before he came back. And I was just like, I'm so mentally removed that there's no way that I could ever make a comeback. So, yeah, totally happy with my decision and there's no turning back. And I was saying this, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I wouldn't be surprised if I never play basketball again. Like, I think the main part is because I don't want to get hurt. But I don't have any desire to play. Like, I don't have time to be in a knee brace for a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. You don't know how lucky you are, though, just being able to retire just on your own sort of time. You know, you are as cool as a cucumber right now. You should be a yoga teacher right now. You feel so good about that situation. So I'm really happy for you. That's good. I think the fans will want me to check in on that. So we'll keep it going. It might change, you know, but long may this continue. Anyway, back to this week's episode. We needed some firepower for episode 10. So we have Cheshire's Namon Wright in the house. We go with the usuals, the Lasker Lookback, Player of the Week, and blend that in with our new Hot Topics and Buy or Sell. But first, it's your social media spy. It's the Marriott Minute. Okay, 2 exciting signings, returnees to the league. Last season's guest, Kofi Josephs, has put down the modeling for a second and rejoined the BBL with the Plymouth City Patriots. Great to see him back and dropping 26 just tonight on the Eagles. Former MVP Brandon Peel has returned as an Eagle in Newcastle, both of them adding even more excitement to the league. Talking about that matchup, just today, Coach Gary Stronach, our guy, returned back to the Plymouth Pavilions this week for an emotional return to where he left coaching well over 10 years ago. Great to see him back on the sidelines. Looking across the Twitter, at Joe St. Ledger has laid the gauntlet down for fans to get more chance going at BBL games, adding his own suggestions, which I will let you read yourselves. But let's get behind this push and add a partisan crazy to the games. Former show guest Ryan Richards, after another impressive display from the London Lions in Europe, tweeted, "Why has everybody gone quiet?" referring to criticism aimed at the club followed up by at EJBBL, who was saying there is genuinely less noise about us going 4-0 in Europe than when our jerseys were released, logos were changed, and social media was going through teething problems. Maybe still going through. And finally, Hoopsfix and Sam Nita have played their part again in the growth of our beloved game, teaming up with Foot Locker and Lambeth Council to regenerate Clapham Common outdoor courts. Now, we have to realise in order to keep growing the game, it needs investment at all levels. And this is a serious inspiration for us all for things that we can do in the community. And that's it for this week's Marriott Minute. I'm always watching.
Some heavy content in that Marriott Minute, my friend. Firstly, starting with Coach Gary Stronach. I was just really surprised that I felt like Plymouth, there was a real big miss on the marketing standpoint. Like, if I'm Plymouth, Gary Stronach hasn't been to the Pavilion in over 10 years. You know, it's not a lot to celebrate with your team. So how do you get ticket sales? How do you get bums on seat? You market the hell out of one of the all-time greatest coaches for that organization and say he's coming back home, and you get that thing packed out. So I feel like that's a big swing and miss there by Plymouth. And then also, I totally agree with Ryan Richards. I think we got to give Vince and company his flowers. He's doing a wonderful job. He's taken on a lot of criticism over the year and a half. And the thing that I respect about Vince is not once have I really – he might have sent out a tweet or two, but he hasn't really been crying and complaining about the scrutiny, right? He's just out there just trying to get the job done. So now they're enjoying some success. So shout out to Vince for representing all of us out in Europe with the London Lions, and so far off to a great start domestically. But let's transition to the more important things in life, hot topics, buy or sell. So getting right into it, and I want to get your touch on this, Jay, but I'm going to start this off. I maybe I'm old school, maybe I'm being a dad here, but I have a real problem with guys tweeting their stats and pictures after a loss. Like, I understand the era that we're in. It's all about the player profile, building that up. But that just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I can understand if it's Monday, Tuesday, you let the weekend fall over, and if you had a great game, post away, post your photos. But after a game, like, that sends the wrong message. So I want to get your thoughts on it. Am I overreacting on that?
I think we're both like super old school, right? You know, so like we got some criticism last season when we were doing the Player of the Week because we stood firm and we said you have to win a ball game to be in consideration for Player of the Week. So I think that lets everybody know where we both stand on these things. But yeah, I think you've got to let that. You've got, at least got to show that loss meant something to you. But sadly, what I will say is we probably are entering a little bit of a dinosaur age. This is just the new age of basketball. Like, we've seen it in the States with like the hype videos and how everybody's, you know, self-promotion and pushing those things. And at the end of the day, you know, these players are still, you know, until we get to the point where we're offering them multi-year contracts, they're still in the shop window, right? You know, so they're trying to do everything that they possibly can to become relevant or stay relevant in those situations. So there's a little bit of giving me, even though I'm just a dad, just like you. For me, if I lose, it doesn't matter if I drop 30 points or 2 points. It's killing me. I have to deal with that. And then, yeah, like you're saying, Monday, Tuesday, you might come in with the guys and they might be like, hey, that was a great game you played, or like, you know, we got to do a little bit more to help you out or something like that. So I'm on the same page with you, brother.
Yeah, I've seen it too many times this season, and you actually make a great point. Like, you know, there's no loyalty in this game. Everybody in this league is on one-year deals. They're trying to move on to the next thing. So yeah, I understand that. I do have some compassion there, but just for me, it's just the timing aspect. I'm not saying don't post But like when I see something posted 20 minutes after you just lost by 30, I'm just like, come on. But anyhow, moving on to the Cheshire Phoenix. Took a heavy 39-point loss against the London Lions on national television. Then 24 hours later, a tough loss down in Bristol. A team that I was very high on since the summer. I know you were high on as well. I don't think you picked them as high as I did on the season predictions. I think I went as high as 5th. But do you think it's time for the Cheshire Phoenix to hit the panic button?
That's a really great question for me because, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think my personal opinion is that I don't think this will be the roster that ends the season. I think they're going to go through some changes, and that is why I put them at 7. If we saw last year, it wasn't like they entirely got things right, and then they had to add some pieces, and then that ended with Matthew Bryan and Manning, which was a great pickup for them, and they went on a little run at the end. And that's just kind of where they're at as a club at the minute. It's difficult in this league to get continuity. You know, there's a lot to be jealous of, like the Newcastle Eagles are going through it right now, but for a long period of time, they didn't have to worry about those things. They've also tried something a little different. So Teddy's coming in, so he's not the usual mold of a point guard that Ben Thomas would be bringing in. They've just added Ben Mockford. They've got Namon Wright. Unless the league changes and offers 2 basketballs, I don't know where you go with that. And then we haven't seen that trademark 7-footer yet. It's got to come at some point. I would be disappointed in Coach Thomas if he doesn't add one of those big boys in. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's the panic button or whether they're just going through the same rhythm that they usually go through. And that's definitely not a criticism, because in this league, it's just hard to recruit consistently and keep those guys around.
Yeah, tough start for those guys. They definitely got to replace Dickerson. If he's gone, we haven't really heard much about what's happening there. They need more firepower. But the thing that disappointed me, because I watched him closely this weekend, I watched him against Bristol, because I was really interested to see how they were going to bounce back. Because, you know, as a player, like, getting embarrassed on TV, you probably sent that link out to all your friends back home watching that. And it wasn't the loss for me, because, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone predicted London would win that game. It was just that they didn't compete. They didn't fight. And that was really worrisome for me. So I thought that against Bristol, they would be on the totally opposite side of the spectrum, where they're diving on the floor and like being more out of control. You know how it is, like where you're almost trying too hard. But I didn't see that either. Like, it looked like Bristol had lost the night before. So I'm pretty sure Coach Thomas is going to right the ship. He's done it the last couple years, but you know, it's they better hurry it up. Anyhow, we move on to buy or sell. First thing of our buy or sell topic, I've mentioned it at the top. Coach Vince doing a great job. Let's talk about the logos. Undefeated in Europe. Just beat the Leicester Riders tonight. Are you buying or selling London Lions winning all 4 trophies this season?
Ooh. I've got to set. I can't see him winning. I can't see him winning all 4 trophies. No, I can't. But are they impressive? Yes, they are. Especially in Europe. They look better in Europe than they do in the BBL right now. But that was definitely a statement win against the Riders. But I think they'll push it close. I just think it's going to come down to all those travel schedules that just keep getting pointed out. I think Tony Rowe talked about that's why he didn't put them as winning the league. And because he feels that consistency needs to be there to win the league. But they look really, really impressive, and everybody's looking at what's going on the court, but you've also got to praise them with what's going on off the court. And I'm not sure what the guy's name is, but they've added to the coaching staff, and I understand that he's doing a lot behind the scenes as well, which is helping Vince and his structure of that team. So I just don't see them having that little mini meltdown that they had last year because things were kind of out of control, I'm guessing, off the court. So I think they've addressed that, which you have to just give absolute kudos to the club. They'll come close, but I just think this is they're officially their first year through this, right, of having to handle all this traveling. I think at some point it's going to bite them in the backside, and one of those things, probably a cup competition, is going to slip on them, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely selling, but I'm going out on a limb and saying that London Lions will win 3 out of 4. For someone who's done it before in 2015, it is just incredibly hard. First of all, you have to have a great team, which they do. You have to be able to handle injuries, and they're going to come. It's inevitable. And then you got to have some luck sprinkled on top of that. So, one little slip up and it doesn't happen. And if I think about the 14-15 season when we did it, it was many opportunities, little moments where it could have slipped away, and it was just on our side. So I'm selling, but
Go on, finish. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm selling, but I definitely see them winning 3 out of 4.
Yeah, that's a big call, and also like it will have to give some plaudits to former guest Jordan Williams as well, like how well he settled into that. Doesn't he look like he belongs? People may have had those question marks, like here he comes, and like, wow, his skill set is really suiting the way that those guys play.
And you know how it is sometimes as a player, you play better when you're around better talent, and Jordan Williams is showing that as he hit a triple-double Friday night. But moving on, next topic. Dirk Williams is off to an unbelievable start, league leading in points per game. Field goal percentage as a 2-guard, which is remarkable. Free throw shooting, 11 for 11 on the season, and also top 10 in three-point shooting. Now, they call it the 50-40-90 split, which is shooting 50% from the field, 40% from the three, 90% from the free throw line. Just to give our fans some perspective, only 9 players in the history of the NBA have done it. Larry Bird, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, to name a few. Currently, Dirk is 73, 43, and 100%. Are you buying or selling Dirk Williams hitting that milestone after the season?
Selling. It's so incredibly hard, and I mean he is on an unbelievable run right now. Like, and it kind of looks like it's his team. Like he just keeps taking that next step, which is so impressive to see. And I know people, are knocking that there's other stats missing from what he's doing, but that's the role he's got to play for London. He's doing the things that he needs to be doing in order for them to be successful. But that is such an incredibly hard milestone that if he does do that, I mean, absolute kudos to the fella. But I'm gonna sell and say again, I'm gonna put it down to the travel schedule. It's tough to lock in, and there's a reason why there's only 9 NBA players that have done it, because they have to do it over an 82 game period of time. It will be incredibly difficult, and I'm selling on that one, but not because I don't think he's doing a phenomenal job.
Well, I'm sure his wife might be my friend after this, because we know sometimes she tunes into the show, and I'm going to buy it. Yes, I'm going out on a limb and buying the fact that Dirk Williams will hit this remarkable feat, and we need Dan Routledge to tweet if it's ever been done in the BBL, because that is a stat that I'm not sure about. So I'm pretty sure Tuesday afternoon he'll let us know. But I will say the most difficult one for him to hit will be the free throws, surprisingly. Threes, he's going to see open threes all year. He's a great three-point shooter. Field goal percentage is going to be pull-ups or dunks or layups. But I think because he doesn't go to the free throw line that often, all it takes is to miss 2 in a row. And I don't think he'll get enough attempts to rectify it. It's not that he's not a 90% free throw shooter. I just don't think he'll have enough attempts to get there. So, but let's see. Let's watch out. Finally, last thing in buy and sell. Sheffield Sharks off to a 2-0 start. My former teammate, Rodney Glasgow, being the X factor for these guys. Can you see the Sharks finishing in the top 4?
I've got to buy it, but not for just a clean-cut reason. But I keep going back to this same thing, and probably Bristol are going to probably force their way into that thinking as well. Is 3 through 8, who knows? Like, genuinely, who knows what's going to happen? You've got, Newcastle right now. Yes, they steadied the ship this week, but not really against anyone, and they weren't really pushed into any type of gear in either of those games. You've got Cheshire needing to right the ship there. I think for them and Bristol, like offensively, I think it was Tony Rowe, I think, tweeted saying that they both look like they're really struggling, but we know they could hit some form. They know they could do something. So I don't see why the Sharks couldn't finish in the top 4. I don't see why the Sharks couldn't plausibly finish third. Do I think that they will realistically? I think they'll revert to type. I still see them in around that 5 mark. But, I'm buying because it's anybody's market right now. Apart from Riders and Lions, genuinely, third and fourth is on the table for anyone who wants it enough.
I agree with you on that point, but I'm selling just because we know the Sharks will have a stunt to their growth some part of the season, and I just don't see their roster matching up with Manchester, even though Manchester's 2-2 off to a slow start. But I would like to think that Manchester's depth would carry them throughout the season, and we know Eagles will be there at the end. So I have to sell. But, Sheffield off to a great start, so shout out to those guys.
I love it. Moving on. You're player of the week. We have to remember that. It's your player of the week, so you know the rules, guys. Make sure that when you see the votes coming up, make sure you do not leave your vote out. That could count towards your guy being player of the week. I picked out 3 performances, one being Chris Johnson at Newcastle Eagles with a 27, 5, and 4 with a 33 index. Jordan Williams' triple-double for the London Lions was hugely impressive. 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. Guys, this is a big man, a 4-man, 10 assists for a 23 index. And then we go back to Eagles with Duke Shelton, the big man, with 28 and 10 with a 28 index. Get voting for your favorite player, for them to be voted this week's player of the week.
Every vote matters. Literally, last week, 1 vote separated Zach Jackson and Tyreek Armstrong of the Manchester Giants. So get out there and vote, guys. But now, moving on to our guest. But before we do, let's learn a little bit of history about the man Namon Wright and our Lasker Lookback. In this episode of the Lasker Lookback, most kids want to grow up, move out to Hollywood, and become a star. For Namon Wright, it wouldn't have been that huge of a move, as he grew up in West Hollywood. Basketball wasn't even on his radar until his youth coach, NBA champion Kenny Smith, inspired him. That's all he needed, as he was all in from that moment to become a professional basketball player. He finished his high school career with a state championship, and the 4-star athlete was ranked top 100 in the country. Namon was trajectorying upwards, becoming the youngest player at Pacific Hills to be offered a Division I scholarship. He took his talents to Missouri, where he would also become the 3rd highest scoring performance by a freshman in the school's history. After wrapping up his college career at Colorado, Namon performed well enough at the Eurobaskets to get his first professional deal with the Leicester Riders. After the season was cut short by COVID, he moved on to Finland. Now he's a Phoenix, looking to bolster Coach Thomas's roster and help bring them another trophy. And that is your Lasker Lookback.
Man, great look back, Mr. Lasker. Let's get him in the room. It's our guest, Cheshire Phoenix walking bucket, Namon Wright. Welcome to the show, Namon. We appreciate your time, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
No, anytime,
welcome,
anytime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How are you guys doing?
am I correct in thinking you are a Cali boy, Los Angeles?
Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles, California, born and raised.
Love it. I spent about 6 months there and I was working out with UCLA whilst I was recovering from back surgery. I lived on El Camino Drive, so near Rodeo Drive, so that I can just be a little bit flashy on the podcast right now.
Nice, nice.
One thing I found very, very cool about the summer hoop scene over there was the secret gym at UCLA. So for fans listening, that started with Michael Cooper and Magic Johnson. Basically taking this gym, and then they've passed it down to NBA players every summer. Do you ever get a chance to be around that gym at all? Do you get in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm real familiar with the gym. When I was younger, we would always go try to sneak in and see, the NBA guys work out. But as I grow a little bit older, I got a couple of the invites. So, I'm sure you guys seen, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, all those guys up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know the exact gym you're talking about. I got a couple of gyms in it, so upstairs. So yeah.
Yeah, the one upstairs. So there's a main one, guys, and then you have to go across the building. The year I was there, it was Paul Pierce, Baron Davis, and Sean Marion that were responsible for paying for that summer. So people took it on each year, but yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, and maybe something some guys want to listen to somewhere.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how all those guys, come from different NBA teams and then, link up in the summer and get some good runs in.
A lot of fun.
Man, I'm a little bit disappointed because I went to school in San Diego and I spent a lot of time in LA and I never been invited to that private gym. So I must not be in the club, man. But I mean, I am technically from Houston. I grew up in Houston, grew up a Rocket fan. Especially when they won back-to-back championships, and was a big fan of Kenny Smith, who was the point guard of that championship team. You mentioned about how Kenny influenced you to really start taking on basketball seriously. Just kind of touch us on how he became your youth coach and what was it that he said to inspire you?
Well, obviously it was, more of, who he was, his resume, but also about how he carries himself every day, the man he is, the words of wisdom he gives, and he treated us, he was my coach. He wasn't there for, every now and then, or he would be there, he would coach us during the game. So, having that, role model and having somebody that's, actually played in the NBA and won championships and, actually coaching you, that gave me a lot of inspiration as a young man, to work on my game and to actually take basketball serious. But, I believe just, when the team name is called Aim High, the Tribal Youth Club. And, right when I started playing basketball seriously, my best friend, Marcus, his dad actually helped me take it a little bit more serious. And he just told me about it. Like, I know an AAU team and, Kenny Smith's the coach. So, come over there with us. And, the rest is history. I played for him for, 4 or 5 years, and we still have a relationship to this day.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. It's amazing how things that people can say or what can actually spark that fire onto you going and doing whatever it is that kids aim or strive to do. But you went on to have a great high school career. You were top 100 in the country, a 4-star athlete, played in some of the biggest tournaments in the USA. And you were one of the youngest to receive a Division I scholarship at Pacific Hills, which is in West Hollywood. You took your talents off to New Mexico, to Missouri, right? Was it Missouri?
Yeah, to University of Missouri first. Yes, sir.
Right, and then you transferred over to Colorado, where you have a special relationship with London Lions star Kennedy Leonard. Just talk to us firstly about why you transferred, because we had a previous guest on here, Jordan Johnson from the Glasgow Rocks, who transferred also, and there's a lot of guys who ended up transfer. So why did you transfer? And just talk to us a little bit about what you and your Leonard's relationship is like.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with Kennedy, and just when I got there to Colorado, she's always been, men's and women's basketball. She's always been the hardest worker, I've seen. She eats, sleeps, basketball. That's all she does. That's all she cares about. And you can tell by her style of play and how productive she is on the court. She was, she got all kind of records at Colorado that I wouldn't even, I'm not even in her mention. So, just give her a little shout out there. But it's also cool how basketball takes you to familiar places. Like we're both in, the United Kingdom, after going to the same university, so that's really cool. But yeah, I ended up at University of Missouri. Frank Haith was the coach that recruited me. And what happened was he ended up being not actually, I signed my national letter of intent to go to University of Missouri, but he ended up not actually coaching there for my freshman year, whether it was some drama with, the athletic director or, they didn't want to extend his contract. I'm not really too sure about all the details, but he ended up going to Tulsa. And I ended up staying there and playing for a coach that didn't recruit me pretty much. So, I gave it a shot for a year or two. I gave it a shot for 2 years. I started as a freshman in college. So, as a freshman in college, a big SEC Power 5 conference, you coming from Los Angeles and, always wanting to play basketball at that high of a level, I didn't take that for granted. So I stayed there and, I started my sophomore year and I played a lot of minutes and it was a lot of fun. But, I thought that, the University of Colorado would have more of a culture dynamic to it. They already had a foundation set up. And, the coach, Tad Boyle, who was the head coach at Colorado when I was there, and he's still the head coach. I had a relationship with him in high school. So they recruited me when I was in high school. They were one of the, hardest teams that recruited me. So, I took a look at them. I decided that, that school and that program wasn't, University of Missouri wasn't the right fit for me based on, it was just a lot of craziness going on with the new coach and, players leaving, it was just craziness going on. So I decided to transfer and, I had a fun time at Colorado as well.
Yeah. I got a really good opportunity to get to know Frank Haith, actually, because when I was coaching in Plymouth, we took Matt Pressey. So that year they had Phil and Matt. Obviously, Phil went on to the NBA, and Matt was trying to find his way back there. I believe, actually, like, fun fact for you guys, that he was going to go to the Riders. I think that Rob was looking at him for a little while. It didn't work out for whatever reason, but yeah, it was good to connect with Frank on that level. And then I think for what do you kind of think at the minute about, obviously now they're opening up the portal, so they're making it a lot easier for these transfers to happen. Do you feel like that's a good thing for athletes to kind of, have as much choice and flexibility? Whereas, back when I was playing in college over in the States and stuff like that, that would have been a rarity and maybe even seen as a soft way out, So what do you think about the portal? You think that's a positive?
Well, I think that, it can be a positive. College coaches, I had about 10 to 12 assistant coaches in college. They all went to different universities, Marquette, Arizona. So none of the coaches that recruited me to Missouri, I never played for. None of the coaches that are, half of the coaches that recruited me to Colorado, besides the head coach, I never played for, So that's, as far as fairness, as far as opportunity, coaches get those opportunities to leave and to find other opportunities. So I think players should also be able to find the right fit for them, and their families. So I think for me personally, I don't think that I would have been as happy mentally, staying at, the University of Missouri versus, I was very happy at the University of Colorado.
Oh, I like it. Listen, Cheshire, you're with Cheshire now. They're off to a slow start in the championship. Obviously, if adding Ben Motford now, hopefully things are going to start improving. But what have you seen are the issues at this point that you guys need to improve on to get on a run? And it's a run that we think will happen. We know Coach Thomas really, really well. But what do you think's got to happen for this team to click into gear?
Well, for one, I think we have to get all our pieces, on ship. But also we have to develop an identity. Right now I don't think we really have much of an identity. Mike was hurt with a broken finger for a few weeks. Noah, one of our American centers, has been out sick. Teddy missed a few games. So, right now we're just trying to find our identity, trying to come together as a team, see, develop what our identity is. And I think that we'll be okay. A few games, we've lost by 1 point here or there, a few games that teams that we lost to by a lot of points. We came back and almost won. Manchester was one of those games. So we beat teams that have beaten pretty good teams in this league. So I think it's all about, finding out what our identity is and being ultra aggressive, being confident and, understanding, we got to play hard every game, or we're not going. You can't win in this league unless you give it your full first foot forward.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about the identity and really following you guys over the last couple of weeks, because I knew we're covering you guys on Sky 2 weeks in a row. First of all, I just think defensively is where that identity has to come. I think you guys got to clean up your off the ball rotations. And then I was just a little bit disappointed this weekend and just the effort of the team. I think you just mentioned it there. Like, you guys aren't going to out talent anyone in the BBL, so it's important that you guys, play hard every single possession. And I just feel like this past weekend, you guys didn't take the fight to the opponent, that you guys just kind of waited. What would you say to that?
No, I would totally agree with that. And that's the thing. It's like, we got to play like our backs are against the walls, like a cat in the alley. And I will agree with that. Defensive help, defensive rotations, and having that chip on our shoulder is one thing that we're missing right now. And I think that, we should be able to develop over the next couple of games. And like you said, the defense is pretty much where it's at. We're not going to, out jump London Lions. We're not going to outshoot, maybe the Newcastle Eagles. So we gotta bring that extra every game. So I think defensively, we can definitely make gains in that aspect. So I agree with that.
Where do you see Ben Mockford helping this team? Because throughout the basketball community, it was a little bit of controversial move. Obviously, Jules Dangakoto was released. Ben was moved in. I feel like the big games is where Ben can help you guys. Obviously, you got a little time to spend with him. It probably hasn't even been 2 weeks, but where do you see that he can help you guys?
Well, I think Ben's an older player, so he's mature. He's played with GB. He can really shoot the ball. And I think just having that extra voice as far as, not being afraid to speak up, not being afraid to, share his experiences and tell guys where they need to be, or, give us some form of culture. Right now, I think that's also what we're missing, is like a form of culture, a form of role. But also I think he has to get his legs under him. The past two games, he hasn't really, he's probably been off for a few months. I'm not sure if he was retired or what he was dealing with, but I know that he'll definitely get his legs under him in the next couple of weeks, and he'll definitely help us a lot more, from what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Ben's a terrific player. I think he'd be a great addition for you guys. And as you said, it's only fair you judge him over a length of time of a season rather than. You're right. He did announce his retirement, and then kind of having to get back into that mindset. I can't even imagine that would be tough. I kind of want to finish, for me, like, obviously it was announced that it came out that there was a team in Romania that offered a buyout for your services, but Cheshire decided to turn that down. Do you want to provide like some more details like on that situation, like how you felt personally? Was that something that you wanted to explore, or you really wanted to stay? Like, how did that conversation go?
Well, I'm really in my, I played in Finland for, a quick little stint, but not really played in Finland. So I'm technically in my, my sophomore season. So, as far as the professional aspect of everything, I'm still new to everything, but, yeah, that team definitely did reach out to, my agent reach out to me and, try to present an offer and try to get me over there with them. And so, like I said, as far as the professionalism to it, it's new for me, so of course I want to build, and win as much, trophies as we can with Cheshire. But, at the same time, I definitely, my agent brought it to me. So all you can do is, play the cards that you're dealt and, consider it or not consider it, so, it was an honor to, know that, I'm being recognized, and, that's the main goal for us, coming from where I come from. The main goal is to help your family make money, play for, play in different countries, meet new people, have new opportunities, so at the same time, I'm here, with Cheshire to win it all, to win as many games as possible, and, to build a brotherhood, a camaraderie, and, and try to shock some people, this year. So hopefully that'll all, come together once we bring, start winning, and, guys are healthy and everybody's on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's well said, my man. I think for our fans out there, just to understand the dynamic and perspective of it all, as a player, from your standpoint, Namon, this is a very short window, a short career. So you have to maximize it. So something comes on your table, you have to explore it. And on the other side of the coin, from Cheshire's standpoint, it would be difficult for them to let a talented athlete like yourself just walk. So, obviously, from your standpoint, just handling the situation professionally, they didn't let you go, and you sign under contract, no love lost. You just got to come and do your job, and then that stuff will just work itself out. But love your attitude towards it all, and it'll come back around for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
awesome.
shout out to Jules.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we don't want to keep you out in the cold for too long, mate, because otherwise Coach Thomas will be on the phone. We know him, so he'll be dropping us messages. But it's really fun to kind of get to know players on a little bit of a deeper level, especially for the fans, but for us as well. At the end of the day, we're both hoop fans, especially on the British scene, and we know how dangerous you can be. So we're just excited to see what this Cheshire team can do. Just before we kind of got you in, we were talking about the excitement for me that I think 3 through 8 of this league is wide open, and I feel like whoever wants to walk through that door and go ahead and take those bigger positions is it's right there for them, and why can't it be the Cheshire Phoenix? So appreciate your time, man.
No, I really do appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Just keep doing your thing, and I picked you guys to finish 5th this season, so it's a long season, so don't give up on it, and right the ship, my man.
Yeah, got you. I appreciate you guys.
Go get warm. See you soon.
We'll do. Thank you guys, man.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you guys.
All
You guys
right.
have a good night.
Peace out.
Bye, mate.
All right, have a good one.
Okay, that wraps yet another episode. They are coming thick and fast. Namon was a fantastic guest. It was great to get to know him. Guys, we always appreciate you for checking in and listening. I've seen on the Twitter as well, there's some people throwing out some guest names. Come at us, guys. Throw some things at us. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you think about the hot topics and the buy or sell. Get involved. Chuck your name in the hat as well. Don't just say what you think about what we're saying, but say it too. Come on, be brave. But anyway, these episodes, way too fast. Enjoyed my time again on episode 10. Drew, lead us out.
Yeah, major shout out to Namon Wright. It's very difficult to come on a show after you had 2 tough losses, but that just goes to show what type of guy he is and his professionalism. So I like the Cheshire Phoenix that much more because of Namon Wright. So we really hope those guys get things turned around. And like Jay said, get those guests out there, and we'll try our best to get them on the show. I heard Dave Forster out there. I know he has a great interview with Hoops Fix, so if you want to know about his story, they'll be a good resource to check out. And we will get Dave involved somehow. He has too much knowledge not to. He's my go-to guy. I'm texting him all week, learning about players, and so shout out to those guys at the Sunday Night Breakdown. But for us, we'll be same place, same time next week here on the show.
The show.